Hey YouTube, welcome to my channel. Today you're going to watch me struggle through doing a full set on my nails. So the materials that I'm using are some rubbing alcohol, some polygel, some primer, and I don't even know what else. But anyways, let me just talk you through this. So first things first, I start off struggling. That's the first thing. And I'm going to go ahead and I've already kind of lightly went over my nails with a large file. I'm not a nail person, so this is literally a struggle. You're going to watch me struggle. Then I wipe my nails with some rubbing alcohol just to kind of get, I had like little stuff on it from doing hair earlier. And then now I'm doing the pH bond. And then I'm going to come back with the non-acid primer on top of my nails. So that's what you see me doing here. And I always start off on my left hand because I'm right-handed. So that way, you know, I can have that one hand bomb. All right, so like I said before, I'm not a nail person, so I have all different kind of brands all over the place. But I'm going to start off with the foundation from Gelish. And it's the foundation that you use whenever you're doing the gel nails. So I'm going to cure that for 30 seconds. All right, so after my nails cured, I'm going to use these nail forms that I bought off of Amazon. I will link all the products below because everything came from Amazon. So here you'll see me with the brush that I got from Amazon. And I poured the polygel in the nail form, and I'm just kind of patting it into place and trying to get it as even as possible. Now this is the hardest thing. This is just trial and error because this is probably like my 5th time doing this, but I'm still struggling with exactly how much to put in there to get the nails right. So you'll see me struggle through this entire process because the first nail, I do believe I did it too thin. So later on in the video, you'll see how I correct my mistakes. So FYI, I pushed my cuticles back already because when you use the nail forms, you want to get them as close to the cuticle as possible and make sure that you're working the gel down that's near the cuticle as thin as possible, so that way that root of your nail looks very smooth and it's a soft transition. Alright, so clearly to me it wasn't thick enough, so I'm just going to add a little bit more polygel right here, and I'm going to continue doing the same thing, and that is just patting it, dragging it, smoothing it. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out which way is going to work best for me, so it really is trial and error until you get the hang of this. Alright, so after about an hour, just kidding, maybe like 5 minutes, I finally got it kind of where I want it to be. Not perfect, but hey, we can fix that later with filing. So I press it on my nail. Like I said, I put it as close to the cuticle as possible without touching my skin. And then I come back with the brush and some alcohol, and I just clean up around the edges, and I pat underneath the nail just to make sure that when I pressed it, I didn't make a big gooey mess. You'll also see me trying to straighten out that tip, which please don't worry about that next time. I learned as I went to not even waste my time because, once again, you'll fix all of that whenever you do the filing. So I'm going to cure it for 60 seconds, clean off my brush, and be back. Alright, so as I'm doing this and as time has went on, I have learned that when you use the forms, the dual forms, make sure that you use one slightly larger than your nail. I know that sounds crazy, but when you use one that's the exact fit, the sides tend to miss a lot of product, so you'll have a gap on the sides. Versus if you use the larger one, it fits from sidewall to sidewall. So you'll see me kind of playing around trying to figure out which one is the best fit. Then once I get it, oh, here's that other nail. Once I cured it, I'm going to gently pull it off, and there you go, voila. I'm not going to torture y'all watching every single nail. So this is the last nail I will show you, but you'll see as I go, I've gotten much better at kind of figuring out the consistency that I need, or the amount of product to get the perfect nail. Alright, so right here, once again, I'm going to press as close to the cuticle as possible without touching my skin. Also, make sure that you go back, after you clean around the edges and everything, make sure that you kind of tap close to the root on that form, and make sure that there's not a gap or a bubble, or that it's not lifting. So, cure it for 60 seconds. The instructions say 30, but I always cure it for 60 because I notice when it's at 30, it's harder to get the form off. So I'm just kind of cleaning up around the nail, and I'm going to go ahead and cure it. And then I'm going to show you how I fix the ones that are too thin. Alright, so right here I'm going to show you how I fix it. I just take a little polygel, and I did dip the back of it in a little alcohol. That is a slip solution I'm using. And you'll see me just kind of going underneath the nail with a very thin layer and patting it out as smooth as possible. And that's how I thicken up the nail if I think that the tip is just too thin. So a real simple solution, but just try to get it as flat as possible. Don't worry about those jagged little slimy edges. You can cut and file all of that off. Alrighty, so as I'm done, I'm going to go ahead and cure for another 60 seconds. And then I'm going to finish up my hand, and I'll be back. So I want to show you about how much I'm squeezing in these forms. Hopefully I will hold it up long enough. There you go. My nails are in the way, but in a second you'll be able to see. Okay, maybe not. All right, there we go. So you can see how I started doing them to where they're not so transparent. So the more opaque it is, that's when I noticed that I had enough. So that's the key whenever you're trying to figure out about how much you have, or how too little, how too much, I don't know, but you get what I'm trying to say. Alrighty, so I'm all done. I'm taking off that last form. You can see my nails. So now I'm going to go ahead and shape them and file them and buff them and all the extra stuff that takes an unreasonable amount of time. And yes, I do have a electric file, but I just prefer the hand file because I'm not a pro when it comes to nails, only at hair. So whenever I'm doing nails, I just like to take my time, and it's much easier. Now, before I forget, when I do my refills with polygel, I do not use the forms. I freehand it. So much easier, so much effective, so it's just so much better when you don't use the forms to refill. So that's just FYI. Well, thanks for watching. I know they may not be perfect, but hey, you got to start somewhere. See you soon. Please like, subscribe, and share.